Coming up, we are hearing about a mad career change which I think will inspire many people in 2025. Talk about a leap of faith.
BBC Radio Suffolk.
Despite the famous line saying, video killed the radio star, no matter what environment I'm in, people do tend to love radio. Whether it's Radio 1 with Greg in the morning, Radio 4 for the higher brows amongst us, or indeed Sarah Lilly in the morning here in Suffolk. Well, my next guest has put her glittering career on hold to chase the dream of being a radio presenter. Louise Parker is from Woolpit and will not only soon be taking on her first ever radio programme, but is also launching a podcast. Now that is exciting stuff. She is with me in the studio now. Louise, welcome to BBC Radio Suffolk Towers.
Thank you very much, Connor. It's very exciting to be here. I can see all the dials and it's making me very, very excited.
Yeah, because you're a proper radio geek, aren't you?
I mean, I'm still doing my training on Monday.
Yeah.
So, but back in the day, it was literally just a case of an answerphone machine and a boombox. So all of this is massively exciting for me. I'm like a massive radio nerd.
Yeah, because this is what I love about your story so far, is that you have a real burning love for radio that started from a really, really young age. So tell me a little bit about you and where you are now with your career and where the whole love for radio started and how that sort of all morphing into one at the moment.
So the first part of radio that I remember is, I don't know if you remember SGR Colchester.
Amazing, yeah.
I used to listen to that all the time and they did a lot of requests and I sent in a request and it got played live on air and I was like, oh my God, I love that. It was Delta Goodrem Born to Try. So you can tell what kind of era that
Amazing,
is.
Yeah.
So proper old school. And kind of from there, any opportunity that I could get to be on the radio in any variety, I have literally just gone for it, from literally messaging in on Radio 1 with Ricky, Melvin and Charlie, and then actually recently I spoke to Nat O'Leary and Vicky Hawksworth on their group chat show and I was actually live on air with them and that was like massive for me and it was just so spontaneous. But that's what I love about radio, is you've literally just got to go for it, whereas my previous career was everything had to be planned, everything had to be scheduled and it was very rigid, whereas I just find that creativity of radio so interesting. And I mean, Greg James is one of my favourite presenters and my mum loves him as well, but I think she loves him for different reasons.
Yeah, and I think you're probably right as well, because Greg James, everyone loves Greg. I love Greg, but he does have a way he just sort of gets through to people in a different way. Like, I thought I wake up to him every single day, not out of choice, but from somebody else in my house. But I've grown to love him. I've grown to for that to be part of my day, and Radio 1 being part of my day. And, radio then soon becomes, my entire day, which is the dream for me. But for you, you've been doing this for a long time now. Tell us a little bit about some of these little cutesy little stories that you've got of how you started, because this is what people would love to hear, of why radio really does. It really hits different, especially with young people.
Yeah, so when I was probably about 10, so I sat there as an only child with no one to record with like we are now. So I was like, right, think on your toes, Louise. How can we do this interview? So at the time I was obsessed with Busted. So I pre-recorded Busted on the other line, but it was actually still me. Of course, it wasn't actually Busted. On my dad's answerphone machine in his office. I'm sure he was absolutely appalled when he went into his office the next day and was like, what the hell is this? And just did a whole radio show. And to be honest though, I've always loved music. So music really gets me through good times, hard times. I mean, even before coming here today, I was really nervous, but I put on my favourite tunes and everyone needs a bit of music and everyone loves a bit of conversations. And I think when you blend the two together, it's magic.
Oh, I could have put that by myself. That's so sweet. I mean, tell me about your inspirations then. You mentioned Greg, obviously, and you mentioned SGR, but have you got any other? I know you're a big fan of Fern.
I absolutely love Miss Cotton. She is an icon. I remember watching her on the TV as a kid, and then she transitioned onto radio. I listened to her podcast. I love everything she's built. I'm quite a spiritual person as well, so a lot of the stuff that she says, particularly with mental health, which is kind of what I want to do with my podcast as well. And I just think that she's so inspirational, and for someone that comes across so confident, she's got a lot of demons that you wouldn't even imagine, and I just find that so inspiring because I can connect a lot to that, because with my business, it was called Studio Gabrielle. It was an interior design business. It was very successful, but I became that persona of Gabrielle, and that was, everyone saw that as successful, really confident, but deep down inside I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just winging it every day. And I can so see myself in Fern. I think she is just amazing. And obviously Greg, because he's hilarious, absolutely hilarious. And he's like listening to your mate. And I kind of want to be like that, like the female Greg.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Well, you mentioned it there, you touched on it. You are a very successful businesswoman, and it must feel like a bit of a leap of faith now. So tell us about why now and what's prompted you. Is it a New Year thing, or, why now?
It was purely, I was sat there just after I'd woken up and I'd had an actual dream about being a radio presenter, and I literally just put the wheels in motion. I'm very much that type of person that if I have a gut instinct about something, I will just go for it. Everything all in, not worrying about anything else, just going for it. So I literally just sent an email to Jules at Radio West Suffolk and said my story, a bit like we're doing today. And she was like, come in. And that was it. It's kind of just snowballed from there, really. And I think I've kind of done everything that I wanted to do with interiors. I've been in the magazines that I want to be. I've met amazing people, celebrities, some of the royal family as well.
Ooh, okay.
And done amazing projects. Like I did a £35 million penthouse in Miami. That was probably one of the best things that I've done.
That is amazing.
So I've kind of feel like I've done my little bucket list, and radio has kind of been alongside interiors, because I fell in love with interiors through changing rooms. Very basic, nothing glamorous, and I just went full pelt into it from school to college to university, and then as soon as I came back from Australia, I launched the business, and I've kind of completed it, mate.
Completed it, mate. I love that. Yeah, because you know what I love about this? There's a very fine line. But I was trying to look for tenuous links between what you were doing and and radio, and your job was to make people's houses a home with interior design, and I think a big part of people's homes nowadays is radio.
Yes.
It's people have their radio on, whether they're sat by it listening religiously, whether that be to our commentary or to a breakfast show in the morning. It's still part of people's homes. So do you feel like that there's a certain sense of community with radio that you don't really get with other outlets, whether that be TV or streaming now? That seems very distant, whereas radio I've always found to be really quite close-knit.
Yeah, absolutely, especially live radio as well, nothing pre-recorded, because I think what made me fall in love with it, with the song requests and going live on air and things like that, is like almost like you get to see the behind the scenes a little bit, and you're sitting there waiting for your song to come on, and it's just so exciting, and that makes your day. And that, for someone who could be having the best day ever anyway, could be even better day, or someone going through a dark time, that could be like their best part of their week or their month or even their year. And I think having that platform is an honour, actually, to make someone's day. And I remember when Greg was during the COVID pandemic, that was the best part of everyone's day. And you can't replace that with TV, you can't replace that with Netflix. It's literally, you can't get any better than radio, in my opinion. I love it.
Yeah, I love that, and I love that your enthusiasm really shines through, and I think that's great. So tell us a little bit about your new programme that's coming up. It's exciting times. You mentioned you're doing a little bit of training, so tell us a little bit about the process and where you go from now.
So I am taking over Jules's Sunday Love Songs show on a Sunday, obviously. Jules has been on Radio West Suffolk for over 15 years, and she's going on to even more exciting things. I won't give too much away because I'm not Jules. But yeah, she has very kindly handed over the reins to me, has taught me lots of amazing things. I start my tech training on Monday, and the start of the show will be an early on a Sunday morning, so 10 a.m. So the start of the show will be nice chill tunes. And then the 11 till 12 will be the Empower Hour. And it will be a mix of empowering stories to get you through the following week, because Sunday blues are a real thing.
Tell me about it.
Everyone feels it, whether you love or hate your job.
Very true.
And yeah, so it's going to be a lot of empowering songs. My favourite artist is Kat Burns at the moment. She's got some great tunes, and she deserves a lot of airtime. The good thing about that station as well is we can play what we want. So, well, within limits, obviously. Nothing too crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I can really make it my own. And then I've also got the podcast as well. So with radio, the links are very short, 30 seconds to maybe a minute if you're lucky. So I thought it was time to make a podcast. So we're going to be doing that from the 12th of January onwards. Lots of amazing guests already, lots of me chatting. And so guests ranging from A&E nurse that worked during the pandemic and the impact that had on her. So at the end of every season, it will give you 13 reasons to try. And that's the name of the podcast.
Oh, that sounds great. Look, Louise, it's been absolutely lovely meeting you. And I think your enthusiasm is infectious. And you know, I've dabbled in and around TV land. That's now my 9 to 5. But you do make me realise just how much we all love radio. I love radio. Radio is a huge part of my life, and it always has been, and it always will be. So for you, how would you describe yourself on the radio? What are our listeners who might jump over that way think of you, and what can they expect from you as a person, as a presenter? You know, what are they going to expect?
So a lot of empowerment, showing that resilience is everything. And also, I can be a little bit funny sometimes, I've been told.
Ooh, so I get that vibes already.
We'll add a little bit of humour in there now and again, and really good tunes. I like to say that I've got really good taste in music. So.
I love that. And we don't usually do this, but because you're a radio person, and I feel like because of the way your journey started with the answering machine conversations with Busted, I feel like we should play a bit of Busted. So in your best radio voice, introduce a Busted track.
So this is Busted with Year 3000.
What an absolute banger that is. I did say bangers only today. That's Busted. Year 3000 here on BBC Radio Suffolk. Big thanks to Louise Parker, future radio star and podcaster. You can find her on the socials. Louise in Suffolk on Instagram, and the podcast at 13 Reasons to Try. Going to go very far. That's awesome stuff.